Imagine walking through a forest, and suddenly a beetle the size of a human steps out from behind a tree. Its legs are as tall as yours, its shell is like armor, and it starts walking toward you. Sounds like a horror movie, right? But here's the strange part. Giant insects have actually existed before. So why don't we see human-sized bugs today? The answer comes down to oxygen, exoskeletons, and one brutal rule of physics. It's called the square-cubed law. Let's start with something insects absolutely need to survive: oxygen. Unlike humans, insects don't breathe using lungs. Instead, they have a network of tiny tubes called trachea that carry oxygen directly into their bodies. This system works extremely well when the insect is small. But there's a problem. The bigger the insect becomes, the harder it is for oxygen to reach all the way through its body efficiently. And that's one reason insects can't simply keep growing larger. But Earth's history gives us an interesting clue. Around 300 million years ago, during the Carboniferous period, atmospheric oxygen levels were much higher than today, reaching roughly 35%, compared with about 21% today. And during that time, some insects reached incredible sizes. One famous example was Meganeuropsis, an ancient relative of today's dragonflies, with a wingspan of more than 2 feet. Imagine a dragonfly flying over your head that was nearly as wide as a small bird. So higher oxygen may have helped ancient insects become much larger, but oxygen wasn't the only problem.
The second problem is their armor. Insects have an exoskeleton, a hard outer shell that protects and supports their bodies. For a tiny insect, this is brilliant. The shell is strong, lightweight, and does the job of both armor and skeleton. But try scaling that insect up to human size, and physics starts fighting back. As an animal gets bigger, its weight increases much faster than the strength of its supporting structures. A tiny beetle can carry its shell without much trouble, but a human-sized beetle would need an enormous, incredibly thick exoskeleton just to support itself. And that shell would add even more weight. It's a vicious cycle. More size means more weight. More weight means a stronger shell. A stronger shell means even more weight. Eventually, the insect becomes trapped under the weight of its own armor. And that's where the legs become a huge problem. Look at an insect's legs. They're surprisingly thin. That's perfectly fine because insects are lightweight. But imagine taking those same proportions and scaling the insect up to human size. Its body would become dramatically heavier, while its legs wouldn't become strong enough to handle that extra weight. Think about trying to support the weight of a car using chopsticks. The problem isn't that the chopsticks suddenly become weaker. The problem is that the weight has increased much faster than their ability to support it. The same thing would happen to a giant insect. Its legs could buckle, crack, or simply collapse under its own body. And there's something even more interesting about this. Some insects are incredibly strong for their size. Take rhinoceros beetles. They're famous for being able to move and lift objects many times their own body weight. So you might think, what if we simply made one human-sized? Well, it sounds terrifying, but there's a catch. A giant rhinoceros beetle might theoretically have incredible strength if you simply imagined its strength scaling up. But its body isn't actually designed for that size. Its legs, joints, muscles, and exoskeleton evolved for a small insect body. Once you dramatically increase its size and weight, those structures face forces they were never built to handle. So before a giant beetle could lift a car, it might struggle just to stand. This is a square-cube law in action. When something gets larger, its volume, and therefore its mass, increases much faster than its surface area. That's one of the fundamental reasons nature puts limits on animal size. And it's not just insects. The square-cube law affects animals of all kinds. It's one reason a mouse can survive a fall from a surprising height, while a much larger animal can suffer serious injuries from the same fall. Size changes the physics. You can't simply take a small creature and make every part of it 10 times bigger. The body doesn't work that way. So while Hollywood can create a giant ant, giant spider, or human-sized beetle with a computer, real biology isn't nearly as forgiving.
a giant insect wouldn't just be a bigger version of the same animal. It would need an entirely different body design. So, could a human-sized insect exist? Under Earth's current conditions, probably not. It would face oxygen limitations, an incredibly heavy exoskeleton, and legs that could struggle to support its own body. Giant insects are terrifying in movies, but in real life, physics might be the monster that stops them. And if you think giant bugs are scary, wait until you hear what could happen if every insect on Earth suddenly disappeared. Subscribe for the next What If.